We wrote a comic book, and FOC is this weekend. It's called Crashdown, and we need your support. Hit up your LCS and order our first published work.
We tell you like every week how to support the show. You can do it with the mystery mail call. That costs you like $30, $40 or something. Crashdown's a $4 comic book. You know, it's like the cheapest possible way you could throw us some support. You know, you can also hit the like button down there, but that's a whole nother story. Crashdown comes out in January, but like Tom said, the FOC deadline is this coming Monday, the 18th. So if you are even remotely interested, please contact your local comic shop and let them know to order you Crashdown #1.
Look at all of these open to order covers. That's a David Mack right there. Casey Parsons. We have living horror legend Ben Templesmith on a horror sci-fi story that debuts at the end of January.
Please hit up your LCS, show some support. It's a crazy cool psychological horror, body horror, sci-fi horror comic book that we are very excited for you guys to finally be able to read very soon.
Let's talk about the hottest comic books in the world, because I'm getting a little worried, Ryan. Some of these books I'm starting to get cold feet on.
That's later, though. He's getting ahead of us. We're already here at number 10. We got to start with the ones that we're not necessarily getting cold feet on. This book right here is pretty hot. I don't know. It might even be too low on this list. Number 10 on the list, Invincible #1 from 2003. 20 years already.
First appearance of Mark, the Invincible Omni-Man. And we have 9.2s hitting $1,400. That's an increase of 50% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average. The 9.4 can't even keep up. Sold for less this past week for $1,200, but still up 25%. You could have gotten both of those grades for under $1,000 all year long. The 9.8 clocked in at $3,500. That's an increase of 8%. The heights this book reached at a 9.8 was between $5,000 and $6,000 back in 2021. And I can't help but think it's because the season 2 ratings are in and they're fantastic, and season 3 has already been granted.
That's true. And when you do talk about those 2021 record highs, it was during the comic boom, which we talk about every single week. But also 2021 is when Invincible Season 1 was coming out on Amazon. So it was kind of a perfect storm of circumstances to drive this book up to record highs.
We get all of this information from the best comic app in existence, and you can get it before we even hit the table if you download Key Collector Comics. Utilize code TOM101. It unlocks a free 2-week subscription of the app, but like 98% of the app is free. You can learn about Key Comics. You can catalog your books. You can get suggested pricing on your own collection and access to the Hot 10.
Speaking of the Hot 10, we're going to get right back into it with number 9 on the list, Conan the Barbarian, on the Hot 10 2 weeks in a row now from 1970. We have not seen any new slabs added to the CGC census in the last week, but there are a few mid-grade copies of this book that are selling above their averages.
Look how affordable this book is. 4 5s are going for $257, an increase of 16%. The 5.0 is up 21%. The 5.5 is up 18%. The 7.5 is up 14%, and you can get that for $500. The 9.8 hit $5,300 in November, and that was the year-long low. So it makes sense why we're seeing an uptick in sales in the lower grades, because they've gotten so affordable. And the only real news we have is Red Sonja.
That's Conan adjacent, right? I mean, she exists in the same world, but we know there's a Red Sonja movie coming. There apparently was a trailer shown at San Diego Comic-Con to some group of people that were there in attendance at this one panel, but the wider world has not seen this trailer yet. The movie is still set to come out sometime in 2024. They're apparently moving along smoothly, but I would like a glimpse of this Red Sonja movie just to reassure myself that it's actually happening. Meanwhile, when it comes to Conan, there's nothing on deck. To me, that kind of means this might not be a bad time to maybe scoop up a Conan one for the inevitable announcement of a new reboot or something.
Screenwriter Tasha Woe is attached to a bunch of nerdy stuff like Tomb Raider, The Witcher. So seeing her involved in this IP, it's got a lot of people optimistic. But how have we not seen this trailer yet? I'm so confused. This happened back at San Diego in July of this year. What was the point of that trailer drop if they're not going to show us anything of the movie?
Normally, I would say the movie's done. They're showing trailers. It's already filmed. Normally, that would tell me, who cares? Don't worry about it. It'll come out eventually. But this is a post-Batgirl world. So even though Red Sonja is apparently ready to go, it doesn't mean it's safe.
Number 8 on the list is Boys Number 1. First appearance of Huey, A-Train, and Billy Butcher. Came out in 2006. And look at this. 8.5's up 12%. 9.2's up 18%. 9.6 you can get for $200. That's up 10%. And the 9.8 just hit $450. That's an uptick of 23%. Just shy of like $100 under its all-time heights. And this book is fairly low print. It's tough and high grade. And they're announcing spin-off series after spin-off series.
It's been a while since we got Boys Season 3 on Amazon, and we did just get the trailer for Boys Season 4 this past week, so I'm not too surprised to see the original Boys #1 on the Hot 10. What I was surprised was to find this tweet from Stephen Fleet, who is the VFX supervisor on The Boys. He apparently saw something while filming this last season that has kind of scarred him, I think.
Think of all the gross things that this VFX supervisor has experienced on set. While I read this tweet to you, I think I just saw the most disgusting thing I have seen working in the business thus far.
Considering just how disgusting The Boys has been at various times in its past, this has me a little bit intrigued. I'm very excited to see where this goes, but speaking of where things go, we need to go to number 7 on the list. The next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 14 from 1964, the first appearance of the Green Goblin.
Some Spider-Man books have taken a beating. Others have weathered a damn storm. And I mean, really low-key, there's a little bit of spoilers here, but Green Goblin is clearly going to be set up for the next Spider-Man game whenever that comes out. But we have between 9.0 and 9.6, because that's really the only sales that we have to report on in the last couple years, this book is holding strong. Like the 9.0 heights were reached at 20K, but average sales put it around 15,000, and the last GPA sale, March of this year, was $15,000.
If you take a look at the 9.2, that's been selling all year for just over $20,000, but back in June, we did get the new all-time record high for a 9.2, $23,400.
The 1.8 you can get for under $1,000 right now, and it's up 14%. The 2.5 is up 9%, 4.0, 8%, and the 5.0 is up 8% as well.
Meanwhile, a 6.0, we're seeing a 3% increase compared to its 12-month average, and in the 7.5, that just sold for $5,040, which is a 4% increase.
Norman Osborn hasn't even been a villain for like the last few years.
It's a very long, convoluted story, but in the current comics of Amazing Spider-Man, Norman Osborn has had his sins removed from him, and they were recently imbued into a spear that Kraven the Hunter was going to attack Norman Osborn with because he was kind of getting sick of Spider-Man's greatest foe being a measly little weak good guy. He wanted Spider-Man to be up against his greatest foe. That way Spider-Man could be more worthy of a defeat by Kraven.
Sounds interesting, doesn't it?
It doesn't sound that interesting till you realize that Peter Parker ended up getting hit with all of the sins of Norman Osborn, and he kind of went crazy a few issues back and went kind of Goblin mode for a bit. It's a whole thing. They're teasing this return of evil Norman Osborn. It's coming eventually because it has to. But for 3 years now, Norman Osborn has been a good guy, for lack of a better term.
For even longer, the comic fam have been waiting for a affordable statue done by the Todd father. We have at the list at number 6, Batman 423, the iconic Batman, that giant cape, Todd McFarlane cover. 7.5s up 24%, 8.5 selling for $230, up 13%, and a 9.0 up 9%, which is selling for also $239. This book is selling so well across virtually every high grade.
Meanwhile, the 9.2 is seeing a 16% increase over its 12-month average. The 9.4 is up 5%, but the 9.8 just sold for $2,799. That is a 27% increase.
That right there was the highest sale of the year at a time where so many books are clocking in their lowest sale of the year. Look at all these grades. They're all right around 5% of their 12-month average at what is traditionally the worst time of the year in one of the biggest adjustment periods the comic market has seen in a decade. Hot damn.
We did just get an announcement of a new wave of collectibles based off of this classic cover from McFarlane Toys. They are printing 3 different versions of Batman in this cover pose. There is a black version, there is a blue Batman version, and then there is a signed gold version where Todd McFarlane signs an art card that is included in the package as well, but I believe that one is currently sold out.
Next on the list at number 5 is Giant Size X-Men #1, the first appearance of the new team. And this book is now selling in a market so far under what it was going for before that it actually has individuals who own the book holding back officially, and we have the numbers to prove it.
When we research for these videos, we usually take a look at things like high sales or total number of slabs, or maybe slabs added since the last time we talked about it. But we don't often look at how many times a book sells in a given year. And I think that particular data point really puts this book into a completely different light.
Typically, we're seeing this book hit the market double digits at this point. You know, there were times in the last 5 years that there was like 12 of these that would hit the market, one a month, a 9.8. This year, we have seen sales around like the $30,000 mark routinely and under. And I think what's happening now is members are seeing that who own this book, and even in high grade, we're seeing some similar numbers, and they're just deciding not to sell them, which is why we're going from what is typically double digits to December 2023, a count of 4, including the one that just happened that we're going to report on today.
4 sales all year and a 9.8 when this book sold for like triple that in years past. This book hasn't sold 4 times in 1 year since 2009, which is kind of hard to think about. But I guess if this doesn't like tick up in the near future, I would expect this book to sell maybe even less than 4 times in 2024, for example.
That means that there could be some opportunity here on a book that clearly needs the help that it can get, because the 4.5 you can get for $17.50 right now. It's up 5%. The 8.0, $37.50, up 1%. The 9.0 is up 9%, selling for $55.95, and the most recent 9.8 clocked in at 2% over its recent 12-month average at $30,000.
We've talked recently about some of the stuff that is confirmed to come to Disney Plus in 2024. One of those being X-Men 97, the animated continuation of the original X-Men animated series from the 90s. Something cool I noticed this week was Lenore Zahn, the actress who plays Rogue. She took a selfie in the recording booth and posted it online saying she's recording lines for season 2 of this show, which I guess was confirmed like almost a year ago at this point, but there's been a couple strikes since then. Haven't really heard much about this show, period, even season 1, let alone a season 2, but somebody's in there recording dialogue for a season that I don't really know anything about yet at this point. So that's got me feeling optimistic about this show. If they're good enough to get a season 2 already, I think we're okay.
I have to know in the comment section below who is experiencing the same thing that I am, and I'm assuming you are right now, that prior to like the last 30 days, I didn't want a Godzilla #1 graded at a 9.8. Now, I want a Godzilla #1 graded at a 9.8. Number 4 on the list, Godzilla #1, coming out in 1977, the first U.S. appearance of Godzilla.
This is all because of Godzilla -1, the new Godzilla film from Japan.
No, it's the American release that's coming, the new Monsterverse movie. That's why.
If it was me and I was in charge of that movie and Godzilla -1 just came out, and I would not decide, like, let's drop our trailer the same weekend. I'd take a look at Godzilla -1 and be like, we got to redo this entire movie. We screwed up. Like, look how cool this was. And they made it for like a fraction of the budget.
6.5 going for $59, up 13%. 9.0 up 55%, selling for $150. 9.4 selling for $170 for an increase of 26%.
These are kaiju-sized percentage increases, Tom. Look at how hot these books are. It's a little bonkers. We got a 9.6, that's up 21%. And then a 9.8 up 25%, hitting $515.
Now, this book hit heights of like $900. This was back in 2021. So this is still affordable. But you know what? Only seeing $599 on the census, 0 increase since the last week. And this movie having just recently come out, -1, that is. I think there's more coming.
If you take a look here at every grade from 9.0 and above for Godzilla #1, all the most recent sales are trending above their 12-month averages, which goes to show that Godzilla is super duper hot right now between Monarch on Apple TV and Godzilla -1 in theaters, which, again, I will say for the millionth time, go see it in the theater before it comes out on home video or something. Your cell phone is not going to give you the exact same experience as you get in the theater. Trust me.
Ryan demanded that I go and wait an extra hour to see the movie with the enhanced sound. And I'll say it was worth it. I don't typically do that, but it was worth it.
This third book on the list, I was starting to get worried we weren't going to see again for a little while because it was on here pretty much every single week for most of this year. This is Wolverine #1 from 1982, the first solo Wolverine series, again at number 3 on the list.
Despite there being a tremendous increase in census count. We haven't chatted about this book in 3 weeks. Since then, there's been an increase of 73 copies added to the census, 22 of which graded at a 9.8. That is a new 9.8 that could be available for purchase every single day for 3 weeks straight.
The 8.0 is up 13%. The 9.0 is up 2%. The 9.2 is seeing a 6% increase. And the newsstand 9.2 sold for a 35% increase this week.
That newsstand clocked in at $250. A 9.4 direct market copy sold for $20 less for $230. The newsstand 9.2 is outselling the 9.4 direct for an increase of 23% still. The 9.6 clocked in at $316. That's an increase of 20%.
For me, this is kind of a no-brainer, right? We saw Deadpool 3 related books drop off the list for the last month. And then since then, we've seen set photos again. They've started filming Deadpool 3 again. And just like last time, they were filming the same outdoor scene. We got set photos leaked that people took on the set, and we got a shot of Wolverine versus Sabretooth. And I think even just that one image is enough to kind of drive Wolverine and Sabretooth excitement, which we saw last week.
We're also seeing it happen with the next number on the list. And this is where I'm officially getting a little concerned. Because at least Wolverine 1 is like dope Frank Miller first solo series. Like, I don't see this book moving too much because we know Wolverine is here to stay long term. Even if they replace him with a different version of Wolverine. Well, at the list at number 2, we have Uncanny X-Men 130, the first appearance of the Dazzler. What if Taylor Swift is not Dazzler? What if she's Lady Deadpool, which was the first rumors circulating when all of this started back at San Diego Comic-Con this year? But I'll take it one step further. What if she's none of the above? What if Deadpool just like goes to a Taylor Swift concert very briefly and they pull a Brad Pitt on us and she's just in it for like 2 seconds?
I hadn't thought of that because I think I'm guilty, just like I think a lot of the community is guilty. You see Taylor Swift rumors about this and Dazzler rumors, and it just fits so well together that you don't think about maybe what if Taylor Swift just does show up as herself for 10 seconds and Deadpool's like trying to wave at her at a red carpet event or something and she just walks right past him and blows him off or something. I could see something like that playing out almost more likely than her dressing up and acting and playing a role and like fighting. I don't know what's going to happen, but she's so busy also that I can't imagine she has time for anything more than, a quick little cameo in this movie. But Dazzler's still one of the hottest books out there.
Stay tuned. 9.8s are trending above the recent 12-month average, which says that there are investors right now throwing money down. But we are seeing such sheer volume in copies selling that it's ranking at number 2. And this book has been top of the list month over month. And if it's wrong, if it doesn't happen, this may be the biggest spec fail of the year.
If Taylor Swift is in the movie, but if Dazzler isn't in the movie, that could be a weird kind of ironic twist. So I guess for me, I'm a cautious, pessimistic person by nature, so it's easy for me to say, be careful. I don't know, be careful, but just saying.
7.0 Newsstand up 48%. 8.0 Newsstand up 7%. 9.0 Direct up 52%. 9.2 Direct up 32%. Newsstand 9.4 up 29%. Newsstand 9.6 up 2%. 9.8 selling for $16.48 this week for an increase of 7% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average. And this book has been on the upswing since it entered the Hot 10.
Newsstand 9.8, again, selling above average, 4% up. It just hit $1,680, but we did see a record breaker this week as well, the 4.5. It set a record almost a year ago, back in January, $95, and it just hit $100 for the very first time ever. That's a 5% increase.
Buy or sell, comic fam. Let me know in the comment section below. How do you feel about Dazzler? Are you looking at Lady Deadpool seriously? Or are you saying to hell with it all, and I'm just buying the number 1 hottest book in the world because it's so damn affordable? And holiday season is right around the corner. Hit the like, slap the subscribe, because we're going to be here every single week covering the hottest books in the world.
But before we get to the final number on the list, I'm going to jump right in here and tell you we are doing a giveaway. End of January, at the end of January, at the end of January, we are doing a giveaway at the end of January. At the end of January, we're doing a giveaway for Amazing Spider-Man 300.
That's right, and all you have to do is join our newsletter, ComicTime101.com. Right when you enter that page, there is a box that opens up and it says just put your email in, and you click a button and that's it. You're in, and you're also not just in for this giveaway, you're in all giveaways going forward because we source all of our giveaway winners from our newsletter list.
And you don't even have to watch the show, We're not going to announce it here. We're going to email the person directly. So all you got to do is enter your email. If you win, we'll tell you. So it's easy.
It's the first of many. You're going to want to do it. And Ryan, why don't you hit him with the number 1 hottest book in the world?
Star Wars #1 from 1977, the granddaddy of all Star Wars comic books, is here out of nowhere at the top of the list for some reason.
There's nothing going on right now. We looked.
We looked at Star Wars. Yeah, it is a kind of a dead period. Ahsoka has been off air for a couple of months now. There's really nothing set. There's 2 TV shows set to debut sometime in 2024. But yeah, right now it is a dead zone for Star Wars. And my opinion was that maybe that's why we're seeing sales of this book, because, the hype is down and maybe it's a perfect time to swoop in and grab this. But you kind of hit me with some kind of no-brainer, advice that oh yeah, that's probably the reason.
Well, between 3.0 and 9.2, the book is up, but there's a lot of sales happening. Well, we have the holiday season, and when you really stand back and look at all the books that are hot right now, that are on the list, it makes sense why Star Wars 1 would be trending well, because graded, it's a dope gift.
It's a cool gift. That's really kind of, when Tom told me that, I was like, oh, duh, that makes sense. I'm sure a lot of new Star Wars fans were born this year, between stuff like Ahsoka, again, all those characters seeing live action for the first time, I was excited. I was definitely bit by Star Wars fever this year, so it does make sense.
Between 3.0 and 8.0, we are seeing so many sales, all clocking in above their recent 12-month average, and it's all happening in the span of under 2 weeks.
At the end of the day, this comic book, I think, is just getting too low, and it's too affordable for people to not pick up. For example, the 8.5, we just saw a sale for $330, a 13% increase. 9.0, we just saw a 12% increase happen, and a 9.2 just hit $438. That is a 3% increase over the 12-month average.
You can get this book below an 8.0 for under $300. And also, if you're getting a gift for somebody, they don't really care if it's a 3.5 or a 4.0. And this book, a little tattered, a little loved, I think looks fantastic.
Makes it look a little more vintage, right? There's something to be said about something it's got a little bit of wear and tear.
Can we get some love for those, like, average copies, comic fam? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always,
Geek responsibly.
order Crashdown, support what we do, and enough said.